So yesterday I found I think it was a 20 or 21 Model 3 in Enterprise. Guy's selling it outright. It's got it's got FSD, and so it does say keep your hands on the wheel.
Yeah, that's their
to start off with.
Yeah, that's their disclaimer that pops up each time.
320-mile range. It's white with black interior.
Okay. He said that one was a what model was that one?
Model 3.
Model 3.
That's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
I think the X's are cool, but I don't. There's the ones that I could afford are 2 miles on it. Which I mean,
right.
Realistically, you know, the more I watch and see, the more it is.
Yeah, they are cool. But that's the only model besides the Roadster, which there are very few of them. That's the only model I've never been in before. Is the X. And I haven't actually driven or ridden in one in an S driving, but I've been in one like in a showroom. I've been checking it out pretty early on.
So that's interesting. It accelerates and then slows back down.
Yeah, and one thing you'll probably notice, and this may be the only road around here that you notice it on, but it cuts down to pretty low, like until it sees the speed limit sign. And we're almost to a red light, so I'm not going to do anything with it. But you can flick the
scroll it up
wheel
to make it go faster.
That's right.
Okay.
See, as soon as it saw it, it goes up to it realizes it's 40 now.
So with this, with the premium connectivity gives you this.
No, this right here is just
that's normal.
The full self-driving Mimic. Yes, you'll see if you've got FSD, this will be the Mimic that you see.
Okay.
The premium connectivity gives you this look versus just a more standard map look.
Gotcha.
It actually brings in the high def imagery and everything.
Okay. So that's what you get with the. I thought it was giving you more definition on this one. Okay. This is really cool.
Yeah, and you'll see when you first start riding it, your tendency is to, anytime it does something that you're not quite expecting, you're gonna want to like grab the wheel or put it, which is fine. I mean, and I expect you to take over if you don't feel comfortable with it. But as I've gotten more used to how it responds to stuff, like I kind of know, even if it does something a little different than I would do it, I know kind of what it's doing.
Yeah. So did you finally get the 12.4?
I don't have 12.4 yet.
You still have 12.36?
No, yeah. And I saw, I think it was yesterday, they had rolled out 12.4.2.
Yes. Because I think they recalled 12.4.1 is what I heard.
Yeah, well, I think they rolled it out to like just some of the early testers. Like there's some guys I follow on YouTube that always get some early releases. They already had it, but then I think they stopped releasing it to
the public.
Because they were doing some patches. Then 12.4.2 started rolling out to employees, and then I think they've held it now. And I think 12.4.3 is going to be the wide release, but I don't know when it's coming yet. I was wondering if we were coming back from lunch if we were going to get any rain this afternoon.
I got rain in Campbellton coming up. It was raining at the airport, so it's kind of hit or miss. There's just all of a sudden, hey, it's raining here. Oh, it's not raining here. So, which is about normal.
All right.
So, but yeah, that one I showed you with the black mat, unless it's gone by the time I get to there, I'm really thinking that's the one I want to go with. I just love that wrap.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah.
I really want white seats if I had to pick, but I mean, realistically.
Yeah.
And you got heated seats front and back on this one, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And heated steering wheel?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are not cooled. I think the S and X might be cooled also, and the Cybertruck will be cooled, but these are just heated.
So it's waiting for that car to move then.
Right. I think it was the turn signal, I think, was somewhat occluded by that car, so when it got out of the way, it saw the green arrow.
Okay. So is that 55 max preset by you ahead of time, or it automatically goes 5 miles over the limit?
That's see, here's the nag. So when it pops up like that, you just have to give it just ever so slight. If you pull just a little too much, it thinks you want to take over. Yeah, and so the first couple times
because you're wearing your sunglasses, that's why it's doing that.
Well.
No, I forgot.
Yeah,
I forgot. I'm watching something that's ahead of you.
Yeah, on 12.4, if these were off, it shouldn't do that anymore.
Yes.
But I'll probably still have to do it with these.
But I think they said if you do wear your sunglasses, then you will have to do the nag on the 12.4.
Right.
But if you don't, then that camera is picking up your eyeballs.
That's right. And then something I was about to say when the nag came up. I think you asked something and I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
I don't remember.
Let's see, what was it? It's come to
the things that the guys who drive for Uber and Lyft say that on the screen when you do the acceleration to put it in chill.
Okay.
Because you don't want to freak the customers out.
Right. Yeah.
Is the biggest thing. Unless they were asked for it at evening. I drove till about 9 Eastern time, 8 our time, and I picked up a kid and he said, so I was talking. Well, they're just so you know, they're building a Tesla dealership in Tallahassee.
Really?
Yeah, I was there. I was driving by one of the roads. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, oh, they're building a Tesla dealership here. The guy says, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I told him that's what I was wanting to get in my next car, and he said, oh yeah. He said he got to ride in a S Plaid with the ludicrous mode. He said, oh my word. He said, yeah, I can imagine that was.
I know, yeah. I've never been in a Plaid before. We got our construction stuff coming up, so we'll let it do its thing, and unless it gets really freaked out, I'm just going to let it do it. And see,
yeah,
because these cones are probably going to have to merge over.
We're going to have to merge in.
Yeah,
yes.
so it's going to.
They shifted everything that way. That's why I was just curious. I mean, which is interesting because that car is not. Is it behind us?
Well, it's all that sign that's on that trailer right there. It picked it up as a vehicle.
So will it? I want to see if it's going to put the blinker on to merge in.
It will. Yeah, I think once it realizes. Let's see. Right now, it's still seeing this as a whole lane that we're sharing with this other car. Looks like it's just going to kind of merge, like we're all sharing the lane here.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So wait till it's clear, but yeah, it almost seemed like it was just a wide lane. So that was a little different.
That's kind of what I like I said, I've watched enough of these. I start watching them like, okay, I'm understanding what's going on here. I don't need to watch anymore. To me, it's more I'm physically in the car watching. That's really what I wanted to kind of see what it's.
Yeah. Because I watched a bunch, as I was waiting to get mine, waiting for FSD to be downloaded when I first got it, because, when I first had it, it was still on version 11, and they had not even done the full, release to everybody yet. That came, toward the end of last year, where anybody that wanted it could get it. You just kind of want to, sort of you had the capability, but they hadn't given it to the total population yet. And I watched a ton of videos, but it's totally different sitting in the seat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I did... When I drove my brother's the first time, he had the partial driving. I don't know what it was, the partial driving one. Yeah. That he had downloaded onto the car for a trip to Colorado. Mm-hmm. So at that point in time, I knew very little about it at all. So I didn't know I got the full self-driving. And so he said, okay. So he punched it in and did whatever he did, and same thing. It followed the road, and it had the nag on it. The screen turned blue, and it had the nag on it. And but. Yeah, this is next level. I'm talking, wow.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say back there. So you asked about the speed limit, this offset?
Yes.
So that is user settable. So if you don't do anything, it defaults to, it'll be the normal speed limit, but you can go in and set either an absolute, I want to go this many miles per hour over the speed limit or under the speed limit, or you can do by percentage. And so I've just got a 10% offset.
And so you can preset that in the screen to turn around and do that ahead of time, so that it'll do it every time.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if you decide, you're going and you decide you want to go a little faster, then you just scroll it up on the scroller and go from there.
That's right. Or you can, if you reach your foot up and just give it a little bit of accelerator, it won't disengage. It'll just bump you up, just like if you had cruise control on, and it'll just, as you bump that up, it'll raise your current speed. It'll leave your max the same, but it'll raise your current speed, and then when you let off, it will mostly stay right there, since it's using AI to determine how fast it thinks it should go. Yeah. If you're on a little road and you speed up too much with your foot and then let off, it's going to back off a little bit, because it's going to say, hey, I think you don't need to go in this fast.
Yeah, no, exactly. Have you thought about adding accessories and stuff like that to it? Some people change just the carbon fiber and that kind of stuff.
I've thought about it. For the interior, not so much. I looked at the little carbon spoiler on the back, looks kind of good, but that's the performance comes with that. And I was like, I don't necessarily want to look like the performance when it's not the performance. I was like, even though I like the way it looks.
One of the things that I think, because obviously Uber and Lyft are part of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which you can put, I watched that just recently, a guy doing that. You can do it, but I'm not sure exactly, but they have it mounts right here, and you can put your phone charger / right there, so that I can still so I can still do. Well, it kind of angles right there in the corner, and you just set it right there, so it's really not too much in your view.
Yeah.
But still allows you to do that kind of stuff. Of course, you can't use the charging pad per se, but so I've still got something to think about. The other question I was going to ask you is, how do you unlock the doors? Because I'm assuming the doors lock when you start driving.
Yeah, and it shows you, so that little bitty lock right there is that's telling you that the doors are locked. And I don't know, let's see if you, so they're unlocked now. Okay. So you can even do it while you drive, but that's how, if you were to stop.
The reason I'm saying is, like when I go to pick up a customer, I want to hit the unlock button before I reach them, so they turn around and go from there. So.
Right.
But you can't open the doors from the screen in the car.
Correct. Yeah, they don't auto open at all.
Yeah. Because that's one of the things I read from people is that the people who have never been in a Tesla, they don't know how to open the door.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the most common things I get when a new person walks up. They just stand there and they're trying to figure it, because the handle's flush, and so you're like, and I've gotten where it's like, all right, push the fat part, grab the skinny part. And right now I've got, so you're talking about the chill mode. So mine's set on standard, I believe, as far as the acceleration part. For the FSD part, I've got it set on, I think, standard also. You can go to assertive, which is going to be changing lanes a bunch, depending on what's slow.
And that's what my brother had when he had it. He got a month's worth. Elon was, sending out to people to buy it.
Yeah.
And he got a month's worth, and he went to, left his house and went down to an appointment in Atlanta, and he said, I put it on assertive because I wanted it to, to make, I didn't want to, be him hauling around, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and if you just want it to chill and not be, changing lanes a bunch, there's a setting that you can say, for this drive, minimal lane changes, so it's not going back and forth and trying to hunt.
There's a guy I've been watching. He's ride share, but he also doing YouTube videos. So it's kind of like you, but he's got multiple. He's got videos of people. He's got them everywhere, and he talking to people, and he's got the yoke on his. I forget what kind of what Tesla he's got. But, and people are like, wow, this couple I was watching yesterday, they're like, wow. So she said, so you're not, he goes, nope, cars. She said, so he goes, nope, car's been driving itself since we left the hotel. Like, what?
Yeah, version 12, version 11 was a lot more, kind of stop quick, start quick. Version 12, even with that, with a car slowing down in front of you, it doesn't slam on it. It's pretty human most of the time.
Yeah.
There are a couple times there's certain stop signs out in Ashford near the road tracks that for some reason it'll want to slow down real quick at the end, and I don't know why it does that on some of them. But
one of the things they said on 12.4, the guy said, is that the flashing lights, they've fixed that problem.
Okay. That's
where
good.
Where it doesn't, because I was watching one guy and he said, normally, because he started and I was watching the beginning of it because I wanted to see it, it puts it on YouTube, well, this is what's happening and the differences, and he said one of the things that they had issues with 12.3, I think the one that you have, was that flashing lights, it didn't know whether it stopped.
Yeah, the yellow flashers.
Yeah.
And version 11 was kind of 50-50. You'd come up on one and it might ignore it and it might slam on the brakes. 12 is a lot better with them, but there's a couple, especially because some of them the bulbs are slightly different colors. Yes. It almost looks yellow and orange.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think it's it doesn't know if it's changing to red or something. Because I encounter one on the way to work every day, and it's 12.3.6. 9 out of 10 times, you sometimes can barely feel a slight slowing, it sees it, but it very rarely hits it like it thinks it's a red light coming up.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the guy said the one, there was 3 flashing lights, I think it was, the trip he was taking to where he was going, and 1 out of the 3, it did just a slight slow down and then and move back again. So
yeah.
But yeah, everything that I've watched and seen people talk about it, they said they fixed a ton of just small issues that were annoying / had to have an intervention or something like that with the 12.4 has been much better. So
yeah, I'm interested to try it. I don't know when I did see, I think it was this morning, that the 12 4.3 was starting to go out to employees. I don't know how long it'll take it to go wide.
One guy was saying, just send it out to everybody, and we'll feed back to you. I mean, that's, I guess that's kind of the nice thing with doing it to everybody, is you're going to get good feedback from people, because I mean they want it to be better.
Right.
So, all right. So the next thing, my question is your vents. I can feel it blowing, but it's blowing right here. How do you adjust?
Yeah, it's all screen. You can use your finger just like an iPad, spread it out or raise it up.
Whoa. Okay. Cool.
So,
wow.
Yeah. However you want. I mean, you can mess with it if you want to. And
that is cool.
So here we go. Got a non-red light turn across traffic. So this might be a neat one to see. Going into the parking lot.
But yeah, that's just. And it'll do the same thing in the back then? Or the back's just manual. I see it now. The back is just manual. So really, there's no air running in the back vents right now. There's nothing blowing in this back vent.
And that may be because there's nobody sitting back there.
Yeah, so it senses somebody sitting back there, and then, whoa, okay. Yeah. To me, it's just, as crazy as it is, I don't want to spend time in the car just playing with it, just.
Right.
It's one of those things, because one of the things that I looked at was watch, what happens if you buy a Tesla from a dealership, like I'm looking at doing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do then? And yeah, wherever you want to go now. I mean, that was mainly what I was.
Let's see. And we can either, we can head back down and go through some of the, like, inside the circle downtown area.
Sure. Or
something if you want. Or, if you want to drive now, you can. Or if we're going to do that, and then you want to pick it up after that and drive.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that since we're already this direction. Back this up. Oh, that's the south side. Okay, I didn't want to go that far. Let's do this.
Then just hit the navigate button. I'm going to start back on and let it take it from here. And it does give you some indications, like you can see the little backwards little chevrons there. It kind of tells you, hey, I'm decelerating, even though, you can feel it, but it gives you some information that way. Yeah. So do you have it set on the battery to charge up to 80% at the quote unquote max? How often do you charge to 100%? Only when I'm about to go on a trip, pretty much. Yes, on this one it's got it at 70 right now, because my home limit I set at 70 only so that it prefers work, because work is free to charge. They got
sure, absolutely.
So you can set it. I've got an app, and I would recommend if you get one, when you get one, there's an app called Tessie, Tessie. It's a third-party app, but you have to give it permission to use your Tesla data, and it communicates directly with the Tesla servers and stuff. But it's got tons of diagnostics and stuff, which would be probably good for you for work, for that stuff. And I can, while we're sitting here, I'll show you kind of the interface. Now I've got
is it free, or is it?
There is a free version. I went ahead and did the paid version early on because I knew that I liked it so much, but it's got tons of analytics on it. And just for example, you can go to charges and analytics, and it'll tell you how much range, and you can go lifetime, this year, this month. So this is one I like to look. So lifetime, I've spent $831 on charging. Fuel cost equivalent would have been about $5,200, and that's based on what my 4Runner gas per mileage was that I put in there to give it the estimates.
So I can put in my Fusion and go from there and match it.
Yeah, and that'll give you the comparison of what it was.
How much is the Tessie paid version?
I think I did a one-time lifetime, and I think it was a couple hundred to do lifetime to get rid of the subscription. Just say, hey, I want it for life, and I think it was a couple hundred.
Okay, so that, to me, that's worth it. It's especially if it's giving you that much information.
That's right.
What's the tires? What does that do on the tires?
Well, it just pulls up, and I'll show you which you can get to that here. Also, if you swipe left, it'll show you right there. You got all 4 tires. It's giving you the same stuff. It's just pulling the data.
Gotcha. So you haven't bought a new set of tires yet since you bought it?
I haven't.
Okay.
I've rotated them twice now. It estimates like 125 miles. It's kind of weird numbers what they recommend.
Okay.
And so But that's the other thing. So with the Tessie app,
so this could be interesting because this is a turn lane right up here.
Yeah, let's see what this.
That's what that's the kind of stuff. Yep, there it goes. Nope.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No blinker that time, which is kind of odd, but
yeah.
I'd rather it get over without a blinker than not.
No, that's true. Which it still had to hear, but
Yeah.
I just, it's one of those like,
Right.
Okay, let's see what it's going to do now.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're kind of adventurous with it too. Lisa gets freaked out. She's like, "Oh my goodness, it's in the turn lane." She doesn't want to look, and I'm like, "All right, well, if it gets to a pinch, I'm going to take over. But otherwise, I want to see what it's going to do."
Well, yeah, I mean, I trust me. I drive and I see all kinds of stuff, all kinds of crazy stuff. One thing I like it is just it's so even the suspension is super nice on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rigid, but it's still. I mean, it's compared to my car, and I just replaced all my shocks and struts, and see, here's another one that's coming up down here to see what's going to happen. Yep, it's moving. Okay. It sees far enough ahead that it's that's pretty cool.
But yeah, no, what I was saying is the Tessie also has a bunch of like automation stuff you can do that the regular Tesla app doesn't have, and I hope that's coming to the native Tesla app at some point. But with Tessie right now, I've got some automation set where you can do it location specific. It's kind of weird that it's going this way.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering why it's taking. It's fine. I mean, it's.
Yeah, let's just see where. If I go out here, it'll tell me where it's.
Okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I mean, it's going to take you wherever.
Okay, yeah, because I guess we're going here, so it's wanting to go this way and then make a left.
Oh, I did the wrong. I punched in too far. You're good. It's just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can change it real time. Like if you go to these 3 dots and say edit trip, if you want to add just do add one, and then you can tap somewhere else and it'll add it to the navigation. I'm gonna have it go over there and then come back over.
There's your rain.
Yeah.
Huh, didn't want to. Can you talk it also? Can I speak it? Voice activated?
Yeah. Let's see. There you go.
Navigate to Walgreens on Selma and South Oats. Let's think about it. So that's the rain sensing on the windshield wiper. So as soon as it senses the rain on the.
Yeah.
So how does it? I guess my question is how does it know to what causes that? For lack of a better.
I think it's just using the cameras also.
Okay.
Because some of the earlier models had the rain sensor, and Tesla constantly being, let's be as minimal as we can be. Like if we don't need any extra sensors, they took it out. And the first couple auto rain sensor things were horrible, and it would just like it could be cloudy and it would just start wiping and you have to turn them off. So like that was like the big joke online is like, will you please fix the rain sensor? But it's actually, I mean, it's doing pretty good right now. It's about
I mean, I just noticed that.
Yeah, and sometimes it will keep going longer than I would normally, and then when it does that, I'll just hit here and turn them off right there, and they'll be off unless I'm toggling back on.
So anything that you're dealing with the car situation is right here.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, it's pretty much me driving. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. I tell people about it who don't know very little about it, and they're like, "Really?" I said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "That's why I wanted to physically see it so I can tell them it's like you driving."
Yeah.
So it'll stop right. Okay. Okay.
They're gonna try to go the wrong way through the drive-through, maybe. Yeah. Let's see. So this is the end of this one. So now we can put in a different one. If you're gonna just end this one, we can pop in. Now that it's clear, it should let you just tap on there if you wanted to pick a different spot. Did you want to go down beyond Main Street somewhere, or?
Let's do this. Let us. I'm trying to.
I'm gonna move up this car's back in behind me.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Let's do this. Oh, this is fourth. I'm so screwed up here. Okay, so that's my. All right, there's my problem. Okay, whew. I'm like, what on earth is happening? We'll do that. So with the bush there, I wonder if it's gonna. That'd be another interesting one there. I mean, he doesn't see anything coming, so it'll.
Ease out and look. It's all the way behind this guy.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because technically, would be going left on West Main. You know what I mean? So maybe it just.
That's true. He has one. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So I'm surprised it didn't pull out into that turn lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now in that situation, obviously you could just turn the, take over, turn the wheel, and then as soon as you got that, re-engage it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those things that just, still trying to decide when do you, I mean, obviously on any kind of, I thought about it.
Yeah.
And then he probably saw that blinker.
Saw that blinker come on.
Yep. Because he went, whoop, whoop.
And it was
like, whoa, wait a minute.
Even quicker than I could think about it. Because I was like, wait, what's it doing? I was like, oh, it's trying to turn.
That's impressive. I mean, to me, that's...
Yeah, and see that guy? Like, you can see him all the way up there, and it showed him on the screen.
Because that's going to be for me, it's going to be when I pick the passenger up, if I want to use full self-driving, if I decide I do want to do that, which I'm going to try and do as much as I can.
Yeah.
I have to put their address in there, which is not a problem. Mm-hmm. I just, hit it, navigate to.
So do you know, like, before you pick them up, do you know where they're going to be going before they get in, or just when they get in?
With Lyft, I do.
Okay.
With Lyft, I wish Uber does it, just not in our market.
Okay.
So with Lyft, it tells me where I'm going to pick them up, where I'm going to drop them off, and how much I'm making on the ride.
Okay.
With Uber, it tells me where I'm going to be picking them up.
I got you.
And then when I get there, it tells me how long my ride's going to be and what direction I'm going. But that's all I get.
Okay.
So.
Because you can send addresses from your phone directly to your navigation too. So like if me and Lisa are looking for something on our phone, say we're like in Atlanta or something, and we're like, oh, this restaurant looks like a good place to eat, and we're sitting in the room, I can say, oh yeah, let's see where that's at. Okay, and then you can say, do the send to, like the share button, and you can share it to the Tesla app.
Whether it's an Android or an Apple, as far I would assume it'll work on both of them.
It should, yeah. I've never tried it on Android, but yeah, you just say like share, just like you're going to text it to somebody, but then instead of sharing to messages, you share to Tesla, and it'll say sent to whatever you named your car, and as soon as you get in, it's already navigated. You just turn it on and go, and it's navigated to there.
Okay. And part of that is I usually don't swipe to start the ride until I see the customer walk out or come to me.
Yeah.
So it would take me a little bit of time. It'd be quicker for me just to turn on and just tell, go to this address.
Yeah.
That's why I want that little thing in the corner. I can just put my phone there and I can still run my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's eventually will come to where Tesla and this will interface with that.
Yeah. And you've been reading about some of the robotaxi stuff coming up.
Oh yeah.
It would not surprise me one bit if Tesla start their own ride-sharing service.
Oh yeah.
That's people-driven first, and so then it would be definitely native through your phone and this.
Yes.
And of course, I'm sure you could do all three in parallel if you did Lyft, Uber, and Tesla. Taxi drives or whatever.
Well, with Lyft and Uber, I've got an app called Maestro, Mystro, and I've got both of them linked to it. Okay. So I just turn that one on, and if whichever ride comes up, I accept that one, and automatically turns the other one off.
That's cool.
So that's like $60 a year. So I mean, it was worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be the ideal. Would be to, but I think just from watching and seeing, I don't want to play the game of trying to go this and that. It's easier for me just to, when I pull up with the customer, it will recognize Waze, the Waze driving app, which I think Lyft does.
Yeah. One
of the two does. So it's just a matter of me playing with it to figure out what, going with that. But yeah, this is seeing it in person is, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Just it's some of the stuff, like, when it accelerates, it moves a little bit, it's not quite I mean, I guess it is somewhat, but part of that is, you know, especially with the customer in the car,
yeah.
You know, what does that look like, you know, with them?
Yeah, are they comfortable with it?
You know, I mean, you know, and that's, I think the people are comfortable with it because of the novelty of watching the steering wheel turn.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting like this in my car.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and you're not touching anything,
and part of it, I think part of it is just going from a gas car to an EV, like, because the acceleration, when I have other people ride in it and it's doing the self-driving, they'll be like, oh man, it takes off kind of fast. I don't even notice it anymore, because like when I'm driving it, I take off like that too. You know, it's just different. And I don't know if I told you or not, when I had this in the shop getting the paint protection film put on, I went back to driving my 4Runner for a week while they had it, and I honestly, like, no diss on my 4Runner, because the car was a great car, and it still ran great and it worked fine. I liked it, but I really thought there was something wrong with the engine when I first got in it. I was like, it will not go.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no check engine light on. What could be wrong with it? And I was like, I guess I'm just used to, you know.
Yeah, once you get used to it, it's like, you know, people talking about, you know, the regenerative braking on the car. You know, it's, you know, they say one pedal, which I think is fantastic, you know, and you know, just reading about it and that kind of stuff. But that's interesting. It moves all the way over.
Yeah, well, this is an actual lane that ends right here, so it's gonna have to get back over too. Yeah. So I'm not sure why. So still got its flaws. It's not perfect.
No, I mean, but it knows to correct it.
Yeah,
you know,
it doesn't just freak out. It's like, take over, you know.
And it's not. It knows to correct it, and it doesn't do it in a manner that is
unsafe. Or, yeah, and see, that's popping that up because it sees the rain coming in, and so it'll give you that. There have been very few times that it said, "Oh, maybe degraded." Okay. Yeah, maybe degraded. Yeah. There have been very few times. Usually, if it's extremely dark to the point where you can't even really see what the side road's doing, sometimes and there's like no street lights or anything, it'll say, hey, take over. Cameras may be occluded because it can't see. But as far as like normal rain and thunderstorms and stuff, it usually does pretty well. So does your car have the lights that I know they've downloaded that'll track when you make a turn? Mine does not. Okay. It doesn't have the matrix LEDs. I think the Highland, the upgraded Model 3 does. Okay. It looks like we're just about to your mark here. Which I put in the middle of the hospital, which probably wasn't the best thing. Yeah, well, but that is cool. Well, I was going to say, I'm more than welcome if you want to. We can pull in the garage so you don't get wet. If you want to swap, if you're okay with it. Yeah, that's fine. And we can say I'm. And it's actually looks like it's finding us more of a spot to park because the bullet was back there. Interesting. And here, I'll show you this too. So once you get into a parking lot, it doesn't park for you per se, like it doesn't just find a spot and park, but once it's in a parking lot like this, let's see, it's still kind of looking for a place to slow down. I'm gonna say usually once it sees these spots, it'll give you an option to auto park. To auto park, yeah, and it's kind of slow right now. Which right now it's just kind of, it's like, hey, I don't know any, there's nothing else in my navigation, so I'm just trying to drive right now. Sometimes it's funny just to see where it's going to go. But see, it's not giving me the, I don't know if it's because it's wet and it doesn't really see the lines as well. That could be. Or the lines maybe aren't painted quite right. Oh, these right here look okay. Yeah, it's interesting, but it will give you the option to. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so once I took over, now it's giving me all the options. So you can, it's got pretty much anything within your so sphere of where you want to park. Let's just pick I don't care. Just pick a spot. I was curious. One of these and just say start. So it will back in the spot. Yeah, and at that point it takes back over. Like it actually enabled FSD by itself when I click start. So it will not pull into a spot. It's going to back into a spot. Right. Yeah. Right now. And I wonder if that is because of the summons feature on it. It might. Because it's easier for, you know what I mean? It's easier for it to pull out of a spot if you're going to summons. That's what I've seen in just watching stuff. Yeah, and also charging, like, the charging stations are to your back, and so maybe. That's true. Because one thing it will not, like if you got the herringbone spots, the angled spots, it won't do those right now because you can't really back into those because of the way you have to pull in. But yeah, once it finishes that, it automatically goes into park and goes back to your. And this one's kind of home screen. All of them have the hold, right? When you turn the car on, because I watched this guy, this Tesla the Barbarian, who's got a Model 3, and he takes people that have never driven Teslas, and
takes them on rides and shows them that kind of stuff, and you know, they get to experience the acceleration.
Yeah, I think I've seen that guy too.
He is hilarious. He is great.
Yeah.
And but he said, you know, once you turn the car on, there's an H that comes up on the. You put it in drive, and if you take your foot off the brake.
That's right. Yeah. So if I go to drive. Yeah, so it.
Yeah, so it's got as a hold. Okay.
Yeah, and you can change that setting, so you can either set it to hold or set it to roll. So like, you know, in a gas car, if you let off the brake, it kind of starts creeping. You can turn that on to where it'll creep, like it's just more familiar to you. Yeah, I like the hold. I like it to sit
heck
there.
Yeah! It's something like, yeah. Why would I need to put on the?
I know,
which I mean, if you're driving full self-driving anyhow, that's not an issue anymore.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times I've been like, you know, in a drive-through, other places where you'd normally have your foot on the brake the whole time or put it in park. And I'll be sitting there like, you know, maybe sitting there for a few minutes, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm still in drive. I just didn't realize it because it just sits there. But Jeff, you ready to swap? I'll tell you what,
Dynamics. Okay, so standard light. Steering weight. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and see, I've never messed with that one before, the steering weight, but. Yeah, that can change. And there's your stopping mode.
So you can creep and roll. Okay.
Hold. That one's kind of neat too. So this one.
Oh, slip start.
Yeah, this one right here, apply brakes when regen is limited. So if you do charge all the way to 100%, the regen, it has to have somewhere to send the power for it to work.
Yes.
So if you're at 100%, you don't really have any regen available. But with this turned on, it will automatically apply your mechanical brakes in the same way that with the other, so that you don't get freaked. So you're not unexpectedly not able to stop without taking
wow,
you know. So it just automatically
cool.
it just compensates for it.
Yeah. Controls. Okay, that's recording. So, for my purposes, it records front of the car, records inside the car. For my Uber and Lyft for safety. I mean, I don't have it right now, but instead of me having to buy a camera,
right,
it will do that way, and it'll download to a whatever site.
So the Sentry mode thing, I don't know right now. I don't think you can pull this camera on the dash cam clips. I don't think so. I've used some of my dash cam on my YouTube channel, and the ones that you can pull after the fact are one in the front, the two.
These up front.
These two that are looking kind of this way, and then the back camera. So you basically have a view of each side. What I wish, and I've actually put in this request, I'm hoping that the B-pillar cameras, which kind of look this way, I'm hoping they can add those later to be able to, and you can look at those in Sentry mode. Like if you're in a restaurant and you got Sentry mode on, you can look at all 6. You can look at front, back ways, or front ways, and you can look at here when you're away. But as far as if you make a dash cam recording to go to save and pull off your computer later, it's just the 4, like one on each side. Okay. Yeah, you're ready to swap over. We can do that whenever, or I mean, you can keep digging on here if you want to.
Yeah, we'll swap over. I'll play with it for a few minutes. I also like the fact that when we get back to the house, I want to pop the windows down when you open the door to kind of. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, and that's because since it's frameless window, the window actually sits up into a window sill.
Okay,
and so it kind of cracks it just to clear that seal. Now there's a mechanical release that you probably have seen.
I've seen that,
right up here. And,
I've heard about that one, yes.
Yeah, and so that's if you lose like your 12-volt battery and you can't, you can pull that and it'll mechanically, but the window doesn't drop when you do that. So they say it can damage that trim if you do it too much, because it'll just basically push through that little trim piece.
I'm just curious. Okay, so that doesn't give you a whole lot of room in the back. So what does that mean? About seatbelt's not on? Okay.
Yeah. And anytime, if you saw it pop up right here, driver profile, so if you make an adjustment and you're like, yeah, I like this better, you can just tap basically save and it'll save it to your profile.
Save it to my profile and that.
And then
do your mirrors close up when it shuts down?
Yep, and that's a setting you can have it. You can set that by location too. So like when I get to my house, I don't have it set that way because my garage is wide enough.
You got enough room.
Everywhere else, like when I lock it, they'll fold in, like when I'm in parking place. And then also, if you've got it in drive, but since it's in hold, you'll probably find that you'll forget and leave it in drive a lot of times while you're just sitting there. As soon as you pop your door release, it automatically goes to park.
Yeah, my brother did show me that, because you know, of course, when I'm driving with him, it's pitch black.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you know, I'm trying to figure out what, where, when, and how, and you know, never been in one. You know, I kind of peeked through the window before, so.
And the adjustments, as far as your other customizable adjustments, like your steering, you just tap right there, and then you would use that left scroll wheel, and you can move up, down, left, right, in, out, as far as changing your steering wheel position. Okay. And then you can save that or go back. Same thing with the mirrors if they're in a spot where you don't want them. And it's the same thing. You just, so that right there, your left window, your left mirror is set. So as you change that one, it's changing this one out here.
Okay.
And then
I mean, I'm going to use the self-driving anyhow.
Yeah, and then you tap your right, and it'll change this one.
Wow. Wow, and you scroll it up, and
yeah,
that's crazy.
And that's where you get your auto tilt, auto fold, auto dim, all this kind of stuff. You can change those in here, but I've got them set. Cool. And we'll just let's see.
You know, you don't have to. Yeah, just exit. I don't want to mess with your settings. So.
And then of course you can open the glove box from this screen, or if you hold down that left scroll wheel. I've got it set right now. One of my presets I've got set there. If you push and hold, it pops your glove box open.
Which is nice. I like that.
Yeah, now it doesn't auto close. You have to. You
have to close it. But, haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. I've got most of that stuff on auto. Screen clean mode, just if you turn that on, it just, you can get your rag out and without messing with stuff, you know, so you're not worried about like pushing buttons.
Yeah.
And then you just hold here, and it 3, 2, 1, it'll exit back out of screen cleaning mode.
And this, what size screen is this one? 15?
15.
I think it's 15. I think they're going to 17-inch.
Yeah. So this one you can customize this. I've just got it set to glove box, but you can customize it to anything you want to. So if you've got something where you want the dome lights to come on when a customer gets in, you can hold that button and then boom, they'll pop on.
Now when the customer gets in, or when the doors are open, the lights automatically come on.
Yeah.
Regardless, that's because I mean that's on my car too.
Yeah, I think that's a setting also. Let's see, ambient lights, dome lights.
Yeah.
So dome lights auto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I mean that's all I care about, especially you know when I first started doing it, I started driving with like if I picked up a lady at night. I want my dome lights on so they feel comfortable getting in the car.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. But when it automatically comes on, then I don't worry about it anymore.
Yeah,
so.
and this one's super subtle, but there's steering wheel lights. Like those little bitty tiny indicator arrows are actually lights. I don't know you probably can't even see them in the daylight right here, but that's a
so
super,
those come off
super
on.
subtle one. And of course your auto high beams and stuff, which the auto high beams are actually really, really good. I was at first a little bit worried because my last car had auto high beams, but half the time they're on when people are coming, and they just didn't work very well. These work pretty well. And then, of course, that's the screen I've shown you. Like, to figure out what's actually here, but
yeah, that's nice. Yeah, because the one I sent you of that blue one I originally looked at, now that that's what I'm looking for every time. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, let's see what else you got. So you got just some preference stuff on here about.
Okay, use HOV lanes. That's cool.
Yeah. Have it, add supercharger stops automatically, and here we go. So it'll automatically reroute you as long as it's going to save you more than 10 minutes. If it's a 1 minute savings, it's not going to.
That's nice. I like that.
And you can change that.
Yeah. No, that's really nice. You see the avoid tolls. I see that. Avoid
fairies. Yeah.
Is that like is like tooth fairies? I'm just kidding. So you can change your volume on your navigation, what it tells you.
Yeah, and so that one too, so the volume on if you're listening to music, your music volume is on the left scroll wheel, just normal. So if the navigation's talking, like if it's mid-talking and you change the left scroll wheel, it changes your navigation volume. If she's not talking, it changes your radio volume. So sometimes I'm like starting to change the radio and then she starts talking, I'm like, no, wrong one. But it does the same thing depending on what's happening at the time. And then you got some trip info, like if you're on your normal trip reset type stuff, which I've never reset either one of them. But it also gives you since last charge data. And here's another. So yeah, you're right. This one right here, pretty much everything is car control related is in here. But you've also got a whole set of apps in here. And one of them that I kept up a lot when I first got it, just because it was kind of neat, is this energy app. And I've seen that
on the guys who take trips, and it kind of runs, what you're gonna on a longer trip. It's gonna. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's whatever leg of the trip. Basically, whatever you've got programmed in.
Yeah.
So if we told it to go to Nashville, then this miles driven is going to be like 200 or 300 miles, whatever it is.
Yes, obviously.
But then even if you're going from here to a mile down the street, it'll still be that.
Is that the same thing? It tells you what your battery usage is.
Yeah, which is pretty nice. Like if you've got a couple hours left to drive and you're like, well, I want to make it home with just a little bit of charge, but I don't want to overcharge at the supercharger because I don't want to waste that money if I'm going to be home. So I'll pull this up, and if it's looking like, because it gives you a real-time thing, so sometimes it'll be like, hey, we're only going to have 5%. I'm going to bump the AC up a couple degrees and slow down a couple miles per hour, and you can actually see it affecting your range. You're like, oh,
that is cool.
Now I've got more margin. I'm more comfortable with that.
Yeah, no, that is cool. How low have you taken it?
I've gotten it down to,
I guess my question is, how low are you lowest comfortable you're comfortable taking it, I should say.
I'm well comfortable within 5%.
Okay.
As accurate as I've seen it, I would be comfortable going down to 2 or 3% probably, as long as my destination had somewhere I could charge.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Anyway, so
that's cool. That's a great feature to see.
Yeah, and just, I mean, this is a side thing, but having the premium connectivity, this theater mode right here, like if you're charging or whatever, you've got these apps that you can sit there and go to Hulu, go to YouTube and watch stuff. It's pretty fun. And then you can even, there's a browser on here that they now just, where's my browser? Right here. They added full screen mode for the browser recently.
Nice.
So you can pull this straight up and, like, you know, pull up social media or whatever, and it's just like, hey, I got a big phone right here, a big old iPad I can mess around with.
That is wild.
And obviously, if you were to go into drive, then all that basically automatically minimizes itself. But anyway, yeah.
So I know that on the threes that you can buy an accessory, I should say, not an aftermarket.
Screen back there,
and it's supposedly super easy to put in. So you do have to push on the brake pedal to push it into park, correct?
Yeah, to put it initially into gear, yeah, and then just all the way down on the stalk, and you're in drive.
So we're going to go back to your house. I guess I should just put home, right?
Yeah, well, here's another thing too. If you're going to my house, you just, once your home's set, you swipe down on it and it takes you home.
Wow. And then just one click down, correct?
Yeah, as long as that little steering wheel shows up, then it's available to turn on. It may hunt in this parking lot a little bit to find where it has to get out. So, you know, whether you want to
find out.
Yeah, let's just see
what's going to happen.
I like it.
Yeah, I trust me. I'm not afraid. So now the rain stuff is not running because why?
It will probably pop on in a second because now that we've re-engaged, it's back into auto. And so you know, I turned it off. As soon as you reset, it's taking out the finger. As soon as you disengage and re-engage, it's going to go back into auto.
Gotcha. So, it looks like you got some Rain-X or something on the windshield, so it's not bad.
I use the Rain-X washer fluid. So
do you use a particular soap with when you wash your car because of the wrap, because of which ceramic you got on there? Because this wrap that if I get this one,
get your nag.
Oh, yep.
Just a little bit, yeah.
There we go. Okay. So what's the engagement period? Because I'm kind of surprised that the wipers haven't come back on yet.
I know, yeah, I don't know, and it may just be a quirk with the sensors, how it, what it sees, and
yeah.
Because like I said, sometimes it wants to go a lot more aggressive with the wipers when it's not raining much. Sometimes it does less.
That is wild. I mean, just physically sitting here watching it do it.
It's a weird feeling.
It is. I've had a little bit of experience with my brother's car, so I kind of, I think it's a lot different because I want one, and so I've done a lot of more research than, the average person. You get in the car, you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
This is crazy. But that is nice that it's giving you that, it may be degraded. Yeah. In my wife's car, she's got the Nissan Rogue. It's got, it's the keep. So what is it?
If you just kind of I'll just take it and give like a gradual pressure until it stops blinking, and then I
tell you what, everybody that I've watched are super happy that is gone in the 12.4.
Oh, yeah. The other thing, if you scroll with either scroll wheel while it's doing that, it also will acknowledge.
Oh yeah, somebody's touching something. I got you. But the one thing I did see is, like, if I'm doing this, looking down at the screen, it'll pop up and says,
yeah, pay attention.
You can keep across the road.
Yeah, or if I pick up my phone just for more than a couple seconds, it sees that and it's like, hey, look at the road.
Yeah. So that's weird. It still hasn't come back on.
I know. I don't know if you like take it off and back to auto and see if it'll go like that. Okay.
I mean, should be sensing something.
Yeah. Still some work left to do on auto wipers. Yeah, so yeah, any of these are basically the manual timer ones, and then
now I want to see what happens if I took it to that, what it's going to do. So now it's I think you had to physically, it looks like, physically take it to a setting where I'm not your average Tesla person sitting in the car with you.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's raining pretty hard, and it's, you know, it's... So is the AI computing... Interesting. It must have seen that car edging toward us.
Yeah.
And turned around and... So yeah, you'll probably have a little bit different content with somebody like me talking about Uber and Lyft and...
Right.
But I mean, it's
interesting too, because I mean, this is a pretty hard rain shower, and so I'm thinking that, you know, usually the follow distance is about 3 or 4 vehicle lengths, but it's following back pretty far back, and then, you know, it's only going 40 and a 50, but because it's raining so hard,
which is good. I mean, I think that's a great way to. The other thing I noticed, and you might have told me this, is that like when you're driving through Atlanta, and even though the speed is like 55 on 285, the car's going 70 because it's going with the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
So that I like that also. Yep.
Yeah. And it'll even tell you sometimes, it'll pop up, like this will turn, I think this number will turn blue, and it'll say moving with flow of traffic or something like this. It'll let you know, hey, I'm going faster than you said, but this is why.
Yeah.
Don't get rear-ended.
Yep. So that must have been something, you shut them off or something happened. I don't know what caused that to do that, but you had to physically turn them on to turn around and do that with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is fabulous. I love this. now the problem is now I want to go buy one now.
Yeah, see, I think for a while, once it stops raining, you've got the little droplets that roll up. And so, like, I think it wants to go a little longer than I would. You know, usually I'll just, you know, have them off, but, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything, but...
And do the heated seats work well? You have different levels of heated seat? So you can have a lower level and a more intense level on them?
Yeah.
Okay. Not that I want to put the heated seat on right now, but I just...
Right.
You know, the crazy thing is... That's interesting. So it goes and then it goes back again.
Yeah, and I think that's something 12.3, kind of that little bobble came in there. That's not, it didn't always do that. It's almost like a little hesitancy in the middle of a lane change, which kind of bugs me. I want it to commit and go. And I think 12.4 somewhat fixes that too.
I think so. From what I've seen in the videos that I've watched, I mean, it navigates over to the left or right or whatever it's going to do.
And that's hard to see when you're just watching it, but you feel it. Like you feel it.
Oh yeah, that's why I said, I'm like, oh, that did a little woo, hey. Yeah. Like, because I looked in the rearview mirror. I'm sorry. I looked in the rearview mirror to see if there was a car coming and cause it to, you know, like, whoop, nope, there's a...
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty impressive. Like I said, now I gotta have one.
Where is the black wrapped one?
It's in you had to tell me that, didn't you? Over in Georgia. Oh, okay. Come on. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. That's gonna drive me nuts.
Well, there was one that was up kind of not Midwest, but the one that had the free shipping involved, or I forgot where that one was. Up in Arkansas, or maybe a little further.
No, I didn't. I wasn't looking that far.
Okay. But it was one of those. It was really cheap, and you said it included the shipping to the house.
Oh yeah, that was the Model S. It was over in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Yeah, the lady wanted. She started telling me this her whole life story, and
This is a divorce deal or whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, really? And I'm like, if it would have had.
You have to blink now.
Yep. If it would have had full FSD on the thing, I'd have said, let's go. I would have pulled the trigger on it right then. And I just told my wife, so we'll just figure out a way to do it. Valdosta. That's the place. That's the dealership over there. Yeah.
That's the one that you're currently looking at?
The one that black one with the wrap that I sent you.
Yeah, the matte black wraps I love, and I'm planning on wrapping the Cybertruck, kind of a matte black. It's called Matrix Black. 3M makes it.
Have you seen the green ones? Some of them are like military green.
Yeah. They've got one that's wrapped. Did you ever play the game Halo? They've got one that's wrapped like the kind of the Warthog look, that off-road vehicle in Halo. They got a wrap that looks like that. It's pretty neat.
In 1 mile, turn left onto Faulkner Street.
Now you can shut that off if you want to.
The talking,
the conversation of the navigation.
Yeah, and the same thing. So yeah, when she starts talking, you can also scroll down on that wheel, and then you can go all the way down to mute.
Mute. Okay. I know where I'm going. I don't need her to tell me.
Yeah.
My wife likes it. Amy likes it. She likes to do that. Okay, I saw that red down there.
Yeah. So
that
the red.
There was a car there,
right.
but it's still going over.
Yeah, so that's when it wants to turn, but there's a blockage somewhere.
So it's telling it. So it looks like it did accelerate to make that turn, to get ahead of that.
Mm-hmm. And I've noticed it does definitely see blinkers, because like if that car turned on their left blinker right now, it would back off and let them in. It's kind of weird to watch it do that. I would.
Yeah. Nah, you ain't coming in, dude. Sorry.
It's kind of weird to like watch it make decisions like that.
So I'm like, really? I'm gonna have to be nice now that I have a Tesla.
Yeah, and I don't know if you put it on assertive, if it's gonna do that less or not.
Especially with the customer of the car, I'd rather. Yeah, this is. I'm gonna freak some customers out with this.
Yeah, like I said, it's a little bit of a novelty. Like if they get in and say, "Hey, what do you think? You mind if I just let it drive?" They'll be like, "Oh yeah, let's watch this." Or some of them might be like,
I would ask him. I would ask him if he says, "Are you interested in Are you interested in it's got full self-driving? Would you be interested in in watching it work?" And most people, the one of the things that a lot of people have said with using Tesla as your Uber is you'll get more tips.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is with Uber, they pay you an extra $1 for every trip you take.
Really?
Because you have an EV. That's what they're pushing the EVs.
Okay.
I'm like, heck yeah. I mean, but the other thing is you'll get more tips because first of all the car is much nicer. Mm-hmm. It's more of a premium car, and I think there's a couple people in town who have Teslas that drive Uber here in town.
Yeah.
But it's more of a novelty, so they're asking questions. I like this even more because the 3 has the pillar in the middle, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's the novelty, and so they're like, oh, this is really cool. You start talking to them about it, and especially if you let the full self-drive. That's why I want one. Yeah. I mean, to me, why not buy a used car that already has it on there?
Yeah.
It's crazy to turn around and even think about spending another $8,000 on something when you're already, it's like, hello. And they just right now they're doing, and you may have noticed, if you upgrade or if you change to another car through the end of August, I think you can transfer your FSD over to. One guy I was talking to on Facebook said, "Oh man, it's too bad. I just transferred it to the other car." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm not looking right now to buy anyhow. I'm mainly just doing research to see what's available. I know it probably might be a little bit early, but if my daughter-in-law gets this job she's applied for and waiting to hear a call back from them, then he'll be able to pick up the payments on his car a little sooner than what originally was planning on. So, but yeah, I'm definitely ready. So that is the behind, or is that the pillar? That's the behind one. That's this one up here, right? Yeah, that's this one
up here looking that way. Yeah, you got your blink going on there.
So what do you think the timing is in between? About 4 or 5 minutes?
It really depends. I mean, sometimes it's every 30 seconds to a minute. Sometimes it'll go seems like 7 or 8, 9 minutes before it does it.
Okay.
It kind of depends on
the traffic and what's driving and how heavy the movement is.
Yeah, and I think it's still looking like, even though like if my glasses weren't on, but whether the glasses are on and off, I think it's kind of looking at what I'm doing. Because there was one day we were headed to Lake City, Florida, and it was nagging me like every 30 seconds. I'm like, it is doing it a lot. Why is it doing that? But it was early in the morning, and I was like, you know what? I bet I'm sleepy. I bet my eyes are kind of like, squinty a little bit, and it's like it thinks that I'm sleepy. And I think it was nagging me more because it looked like my eyes were shutting. But yeah, it's one of those things that once you drive it and ride it and let it drive and stuff, like I don't know that I could ever go back to another car. Like I just don't know if I could.
I mean, well, just just looking in how you've had this car 2 years?
Not even a year. I got it last August.
I mean, the amount of money you've saved on gas is astronomical. Now you're obviously not going to drive it like I drive it, but still,
yeah,
it's like I've been keeping track of gas, how much I'm spending on gas. Starting in June, I kind of started keeping track in a notebook.
Yeah.
This week alone, I'm probably close to $200.
Yeah.
And we're not even done with the week.
Right, and not to mention with the mileage you're doing with Uber and Lyft, like your oil changes are coming up pretty frequently, more frequently than mine do probably.
Well, you don't have any oil changes, so
and there's none with this. And I rotate my tires every 6,000 miles.
Who do you take to have that done?
I do it myself.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you have
I bought a couple floor jacks from Harbor Freight.
Okay.
And I just do it there in the garage.
I've Davis and I have been doing maintenance together in his garage, because he has a garage.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought about buying. They have these little middle lifts that kind of pick the car up. I don't know if you've seen those. They're individual railings, and they slide underneath the car between the wheels, and it just picks it up enough.
Yeah.
And I've thought about, now, will it stop in the driveway?
It's not going to pull into the driveway.
Okay.
It'll tell you you're at your destination somewhere up in this curve or right at the end of the driveway. Okay. So you'll probably have to. You can either use the brake or you can go straight up on this stalk and it'll disengage it. There you go, and then you've got it. Just take over, and then if you got I've got my queue linked, so as soon as I get home,
yeah, I don't have. I'm not cool enough to have a garage, so I just have to pull up in the. Okay. So you don't have to. I mean, obviously, I let off, and I totally forgot about it. I knew that, but I forgot about it. But you can let off in increments to turn around and do the regenerative braking. So it's not,
Right. Yeah. You can just ease off the accelerator and it'll slowly.
Yeah. I mean, especially with the customer in the car, I mean, why not use FSD? Because it'll break it. Sometimes it'll break a little stronger, but you don't have to think about that portion of it. I'm going to want to drive it just, for the sake of getting used to all that.
Yeah.
But everybody I've talked to and listened to says, it takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get used to that.
Yeah.
Regenerative braking. And I've heard gamut of 175 to 200,000 miles for you change brake pads.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and I always look at mine when I rotate my tires. I look at them, but I mean they look brand new. So,
well, this is fantastic. Very, very nice. Yeah. Now I just have to go keep rolling. All right, I'll keep scrolling and looking. So I appreciate it.